Afternoon, folks. As you can see, I'm on my own at the moment, but the other Davy should be along any time soon. One is hoping. Apparently, Mr. Milligan is having some technical problems today. So, and as I haven't scripted this as an indie truck Davy, this could be an interesting hour. Hopefully David will pop into the green room anytime, at any point, well, at some point soon. At least I hope so. We'll get the Facebook comments up. So, as I say, I'm on my own at the moment. As I say, the other one's having technical problems and hopefully will show up shortly. If the phone goes in maybe a minute or so, then it will probably be the other Davy. Now, got a couple of things I want to talk about before we get into the programme. So, as people pile on board, good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Akis, Stephen. Don't seem to have any comments on Facebook at the moment, actually. As I say, got a couple of things I want to talk about before. Now, first thing I want to talk about is congratulations to our Northern Ireland correspondent and very good friend Fiona Robertson and passing her degree. Well done. Thank you for the coffee, Madam Director. And say well done, Fiona, if you're watching. Very pleased for you. David and I are very pleased for you. No, it doesn't mean he's pissed. It means he said his computer shut down. Rain blazed. But as I say, hopefully he'll come along shortly. As I say, I don't know what the script is with him at the moment because he's trying to boot his computer up. As I say, I don't know what the script is with him at the moment. He's trying to boot his computer up, apparently. Hopefully he'll get here. Now, one of the other things I want to talk about is Scottish Parliament's went to recess and we have a summer campaign of convincing people to vote yes. Believe in Scotland's got a summer campaign of street stalls and that going on. And the SNP and other pro-independence people will be doing the same thing because, as we know, it's looking like the Westminster election will be the plebiscite election. We'll get a wee bit more of that as we get into it. And the other thing I really want to talk about before we get into the programme is the Chain of Freedom. October 14th. The idea is to join hands right along the canal, running from Glasgow to Edinburgh, and a show of support for Scottish independence. Now we need 77,000 people. 77,000. So far, I think there's last time I looked, it was 10,400 odd signed up. So 60,000 odd short, folks. So I want everybody to get out there and talk to their friends and their family who support independence and put the 14th of October into your diary. And get out. Contact the Chain of Freedom. They've got a Facebook page, they've got a website. Contact them and find out what yes groups in your area and what part of the chain they will be covering, because each section of the route is to form a link, and they're hoping that that link will consist of all the yes movements. Okay, and the idea is, as I say, to be able to join hands in a chain of freedom right across the Central Belt. Now, folks, to be honest with you, I don't really know what's going on with David. He did say he was getting his computer up and running, but he hasn't come into the green room yet. So, there's only so much of this I can pad out before we have to get into it, whether David's here or no. Hey, Rosie, I put a wee post out myself about Charlie's visit. Oh. Madam Director, I'm going to answer that phone. I think that'll be David. Here we go, folks. The anonymous phone call that tells me his computer's knackered and he can't get in. It's David you're speaking to. Can you join for your phone or something? Aye, well, it was Sarah was talking to you first. She wanted the phone out to me. Sorry, folks, I know this doesn't look like great TV at the moment, but I've got the other one on the phone here. Quite funny. You know. So, his computer's jiggered. He's trying to get it up and running. So, right. And if you're no lucky, join me with your phone, okay? You can always get the code out of your messenger. Chew out. There you go. Computer's goosed. Put them on speaker. I don't know how this thing works. I don't very often use my house phone. I don't even know where to get the fucking number for it, to be honest with you. Okay. Oh well. Anyway, he seems a bit pop in. Anyway, on the subject, because I don't think I had Charles down to talk about, but he's up in Scotland today. He's getting handed a £22,000 sword, commissioned by the Scottish government. I don't know what that's all about. As you know, I'm a Republican, he's not my king. There's every chance that I'll be broadcasting live on Facebook on Wednesday from protests outside St Giles in Edinburgh. If nothing gets in the road of it, I will be going to Edinburgh to protest. And to obviously to broadcast the protest for you guys to see how big it is. But Charlie is not the Scottish king. He's not, nor is he King of Scots, because he has to take the oath here in Scotland. And in that oath, he would have to swear fealty to the people of Scotland. Now, what you seen in England at the coronation was the call went out for the people of England to swear fealty to him. But because the people in Scotland are sovereign, we are the crown, Charles would have to swear fealty to the people of Scotland. And he's not willing to do that. You know, he's just not willing to do that at all. But I don't know if you know this, folks, but Charles actually wrote himself out of some laws that have been passed in Scotland. Wrote himself out of them. That's not a power he's supposed to hold. That's not a power he's supposed to hold. You know, he's failed to rewild his estates. What Charles is a wealthy landowner here in Scotland. There's nothing more than that. And this pantomime that's going to go on this week, full of pomp and pageantry, and apparently there's mini coronation in St Giles where he'll be presented the Scottish honours. No, he won't. He'll be showing the bloody things before they're taken away and put back in the castle. But anyway, let's carry on this week with Charlie. Coming up here claiming to be King of Scots. He's not. He never will be, because as I say, he would have to take the Scottish oath. And in that oath, based on this thing, the Declaration of Abroad, Charlie would have to swear an oath to the people of Scotland to declare that they were sovereign and no him. Charlie's not likely to do that. Right, let's have a look and see what's... Sorry about that. Let's have a look and see what we've got on the agenda for this week's show. Right, so it's a Two Davies minus a Davy for the 3rd of the 7th, 2023. Hopefully the other Davy will be joining us shortly. Anyway, the first subject we were going to cover if David was here is Humza Yousaf's first 100 days in office, which will be Friday this week. Now, by Christ, he's had a hard time, as you know. So, he was sworn in March 29th and became he won the vote on the 27th. He was voted and he swore in on the 29th and became the keeper of the Grand Seal of Scotland. Basically a Lord Protector sort of thing. Now, he'd only been on the job for about 7 days when Peter Muro was lifted, allegedly. He was actually went to the police, he went and helped police with inquiries into this sham investigation into SNP finances. So 1 week in, they spring a stunt, and then we have got the mainstream media screaming, SNP in disarray, SNP in disarray. That's interesting, because this week, Kezia Dugdale, anybody remember her? Kezia Dugdale used to be Labour leader before Bouncy Boy Leonard. Anyway, she's come out and she said, you're making a mistake here if you think the Yes movement's in disarray, or if the SNP's in disarray. She says, the SNP are a campaigning machine, and we're still a way out. Just, anybody thinks that the SNP or the Yes movement's in disarray are after chump. As you know, she now runs a think tank in Glasgow, a Labour-based think tank in Glasgow University, the John Smith think tank. That's what Kezia is doing these days. You know, when you're as thick as that, you shouldn't be allowed within the hallowed halls of an education establishment like the University of Glasgow. But hey ho. So what else did he have to put up with that first 100 days? On the 18th, as he was announcing the programme for government, in came the UK state to bugger that by lifting Colin Beattie. Sorry, asking Colin Beattie to accompany them to the station to help with their inquiries. We still don't even know what it is they're investigating yet. Because normally you establish a crime has been committed before you carry out an investigation. That's generally how things work. But they haven't established that a crime has been committed. So what this investigation is all about, I haven't got a clue. So, Colin Beattie went to the police station to help with inquiries, but it's pounded all other places arrested. So it is. Come on, Davey, look what they let into Oxford. Nah, you're right enough there, good pet. Yeah, okay. And then, of course, that scuppers the Scottish people getting to hear about the programme for government that him and his government are taking forward. Because remember, folks, Humza can't really deviate very much on the programme for government, because if he does, then he'll be breaking faith with the people who elected the SNP in the last Scottish parliamentary election. The programme for government's that manifesto we all voted him in on. One thing he can change, because it was up for debate by the party anyway, was the route forward for independence. He hasn't changed it, he's just nailed his colours to the mast. And he will all say we'll have a say on it in October. But I expect it to be waved through by the party. June 11th, Nick was arrested, apparently. She's taken in. This is on the first 100 days, by the way, of Humza. You know, Nick was arrested, taken in, questioned for 7 hours, apparently. Now, all these people have been arrested at times that they thought the state. All these people arrested at a time. Hold on, I'll put them on speaker. Hold on, David, everybody will hear you. What's the score, mate?
What, man?
You're no in the green room.
I'm in the side backstage.
No, you're not.
Right, okay.
Hold on, I'll send you another link on Messenger, okay?
Hi, mate. Okay.
It appears that David's up and running again, so I'll send him a new link because he thinks he's in the green room and he's not. Okay. Right, where were we? Aye, all these arrests have all happened at times that were meant to disrupt anything the SNP are doing. So, and Nicola's arrest was actually timed because of the Bojo carry-on. Ah, here we come. He's in the green room now. Naughty step.
GCHQ. That's what it was. MI5 in Glasgow.
Never
Bastard.
win your crap. Get in the naughty step and don't burn your arse in the candle. Anyway, we're talking about Holmes's first 100 days in power. Right, we're up with Nicola Sturgeon's arrest.
Yep.
And the timing of it. Because as we know at this time, the committee has just condemned Bojo as a liar, so they're going to lift Nicola so the SNP look just as bad at the same time.
Definitely do.
You know, I know this in Holmes's first 100 days. But there was positives as well, of course. We went on to have a... No, there wasn't. There's more negatives than that, wasn't there? June 20th, right? Sorry, let's do that. Nicola's arrest was June 11th. June 19th, fourth policy paper on independence released. And of course, the Bojo story really covers that one. So they've ditched SNP bad for Bojo bad to hide this particular policy launch, paper launch, which was on the Constitution. The idea of a written Constitution, David. So on the June the 20th, the recall petition for Hamilton and Western Rutherglen goes live. We don't know if they've reached that quota yet or no. Nothing will be said until they reach the 8,400 they need to hold that by-election. June 22nd, the death of Winnie Ewan. Sad day for the party.
Yeah.
June 24th, Independence Convention. Supposed to be a frank and honest debate. Doesn't matter who's just put his idea forward. Everybody's going to wave it through a conference. That's what's going to be happening. Okay. So, and during that period of time and all, Humza has also appointed new auditors. And the story of the day, I don't know, the last couple of days is, and by the way, I don't know if you know this, folks, but they're going to make a song and dance out of this. Did you know that political parties don't actually have to record donations smaller than £250? But they do, and generally they do it online. They have a digital record of it being transferred into their accounts. That's generally all it is for under £250.
Oh, yeah,
Ain't there £250 would be square.
Well, I gave 100 quid to the SNP about 2-3 weeks ago, or sorry, a couple of weeks before I went on holiday, and so that'd be 4 weeks ago. And yeah, I don't expect that to be recorded.
Well, obviously, David, because we're doing them by electronic transfer, they're recorded that way.
Yeah.
But apparently, they're going to change the rules so that every donation is recorded in the hard copy.
Right.
Because apparently the auditors are having a hard time chasing down the digital stuff. Because of course it's branches different, but there's some of the different bank accounts for different branches. You know what I mean?
Can I just say this, right? See if the central leadership of the SNP take my 100 quid and they take people out canvassing, and that 100 quid pays for their a burger and a can of Coke or whatever whilst they're doing it. Fine, get on and do it. I've give them 100 quid for use of the party, and that's it. End of story. I don't say it's got to be. It must be to do with an independence, whatever, or it's got to be this or that, or it's going to be part of a minibus or whatever.
Aye.
It's just there. It's just a donation. So it is.
Talk about donations, folks. For the month of for last month up until the beginning of this month, your generosity has raised £778, and 750 will be going out to 4 charities. And I'll tell you who the charities are once I've spoken to the charities and arranged to make the electronic transfers. So thank you very much, folks. That's £778 you raised last month. It's phenomenal, and it's going to be able to help feed an awful lot of people.
Thank you all.
People. And as you know, this month I'll be allocating the funds. Next month, David will pick some charities to allocate the fund to, and we'll do it month about. And if you want to make suggestions in my inbox to who you might like to take funds, then we're willing to take suggestions, folks. It's your money.
Good idea. Damn good idea.
So it's your money, folks. So as I say, I've decided that the 28 will stay in the bank to start the pot for this month.
Yeah.
750 of it will go out to 4 charities. And as I say, I haven't decided what charities yet are getting them. But I want you to know the figure for last month. It was a fantastic figure. You people are brilliant. You are the bee's knees, and you're going to feed a lot of hungry people in Scotland.
Absolutely.
And that is fantastic. And we really are. We are so. But thank you. We couldn't thank you enough. And if you can continue to help, we will continue to give your money to a charity to feed people. Okay. Right. Now, so he gets a new. He's also appointed new auditors. He's going to get the books done in time, and he's changed the way that the party is going to record donations. Right. So that's who was his first 100 days covered. He's not an easy ride yet, but he's come through it, no bother. You know. And you and I were talking about earlier, David. I actually like the cut of the jib of this new team at the front of the SNP. They're more aggressive, they're more combative.
I am particularly enamoured by the team down in the House of Commons that I felt was a waste of time. I kept on saying to them at any time I speak, look, get a train or a plane or whatever and get back up to Scotland. But now I see Stephen Flynn and Mary Black heading up that team down the House of Commons. I can actually see it doing something properly.
I can also see them when we win this vote next year, telling Westminster to stick it up your arse, get round the table. If you don't, we'll just go and set it up anyway.
Yeah, we know that the rest of Westminster are going to refuse to.
We'll get there. No, it's not a case of refuse. You see, this is the problem. By us admitting that they're going to deny us the rule, that's us admitting that they have some sort of fucking power over us. I'm not having that.
No, they don't. However, what they're going to do is they're going to stick their nose in there and go, no, you're not independent. And that's the next part of our conversation.
Yes. Right, David, the one that's quite topical, and we've just been talking about how hard things are getting, the cost of living crisis. ScotRail puts their prices up for 4.8% a day after an 18-month freeze. I
used ScotRail on Friday to get into town from Dalmuir, right? And I find that their prices are excellent, or the rest of it, right? Because I was going into see the Banksy exhibition, taking the family in, right? But the problem I've got is that I'm over 60, and I've got one of these over 60s card. It doesn't cover for rail journeys, and I would say fine. The wee lift in the 4.8% is a below inflation figure, right? However, I would like to see the over 60s card covered for old age pensioners to get free rail journeys or whatever.
Aye, that's what it would. Aye. I would think so. I like that idea.
Yep.
But as I say, the put up of 4.8%, as you have pointed out, it's 4 points lower than inflation, and there has been a price freeze for the last 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the 4.8 is covering two years actually. So 4.8 of 2 years when inflation's as high as it is, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. And apparently, your concession card, your free travel pass gets you a 10% discount on the railway.
It does not, and I've asked at Dalmuir train station several times, and they just refuse to look at it. So I show my little Scot card that I've got that's wrapped around my walking stick, and I don't. No, sorry, son, can't use that here.
The SNP point to get you guys to simply vote SNP at the next election is working. Wonders for them, but it will not deliver Indy.
I know you just do it, but it makes no sense.
No.
The international community are looking for what the SNP's result is, not what any other party's result is, just what the SNP result is. before they declare that Scotland is an independent country, before they recognise Scotland as an independent country. What planet are you on, Wayne?
No, that. In a general election, whether they like it or no, doing that road, the people of Scotland, they express the will of the people. So if they return a majority of SNP MPs, that's a majority of the people who voted SNP.
Yeah.
That's how we measure election results in the will of the people. And all this crap about 50% plus one rooms is right, stick it. It's a Westminster election. And if you don't like it, tough. We'll see you in the international courts. The people will have spoke.
At the weekend, I put up a quiz asking people simple questions. What is a plebiscite election? How can a plebiscite election be used in a general election? Blah, 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 right? And people still got it wrong. They started talking about 51% or whatever. And I went, no, it's Westminster. It's a Westminster election. So therefore what happens is it's first past the post. The Tories got in with 41% on 2019, and Tony Blair's landslide election was 38% of the vote. So come on, guys, can we get with it?
Hold on, Wayne wants to argue about a UK election. What's that got to do with it? The Scottish population will be voting, so the express vote of the Scottish people will be expressed in that way. And you're obviously not a diplomat, and I'm not going to get into it with you, mate. You're obviously a Democrat.
Hang on a second. Nathan McAllister's put up that Wayne Morris's real name is John Dunburgess, the bus driver. Right, okay.
Hey, we're going to ignore Wayne for no one because I'm not having anybody doing that road dictate to me what democracy is. I know what democracy is. Been a Democrat all my life. I'm a Democrat to my toes, actually. We'll get it out a wee bit further in. Right, anyway, so that covers ScotRail. SNP shelved marine protection areas after outraged by coastal communities. And I think this one needs a wee bit more time and thought, to be honest with you, David, because some of these marine protected areas would have actually stopped some of the coastal people from being able to make a living.
Yes, but in actual fact, it comes right down to the science part of it is that the seabed is being taken up so much that they're losing their seed corn for next year.
Aye.
And what's going to happen is we're going to lose the fishing communities, not the fish. The fish are going to go bye-bye, or they're going to get scooped up and not reappear. And the fishing communities are going to disappear, and that's ridiculous. We can't allow that to happen.
I think one of the things that governments, whether it be Scottish government, central, UK government, all governments get wrong. I think one of the things that they get wrong is it's no their job to really husband these environments. That's the people who make the living there's job.
No, the thing is though,
set some guidelines and let them do it.
But David, you have to understand, it's like, it's like asking Tories not to keep an eye on their bank balance. Do you understand what I mean? Right? That the Tories will do everything to get money in, but they don't care how they do it, right? And it's the same with the lads and lasses that are involved in the fishing fleet for Scotland, is they will fish and fish and fish, and they don't realise that some of these areas are now getting to the point where there's nothing there.
That's why you say. That's why the government set quotas to make sure they can't overfish.
Yes, correct.
But when it comes to the rest of protecting the environment, the livelihood, then once you set the guidelines, let them go on with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I say, this needs deeper thought, David. I'm not going to. When I the marine conservation plans and all that, I thought this is going to decimate the communities on the coast.
Is it? Is it really? I had a lad from one of these communities talking, and he said, really, I just go out and run about the other side of that island there, and I've got a fishing area I can go to, right? So it's not that big a deal. I think it's been made a big deal for those who are against the Greens.
I think it was probably to do with the size of the marine conservation areas, David. Anyway, they're going to shelve it. They're going to have another look at it. and try and work with the communities to find out what would work. Which is what they should have done in the first place. Let's get rid of it.
Yeah, all right, okay.
I mean,
Maybe the Greens were being a wee bit too prescriptive, and I think they are guilty of that at times.
I also think that the communities, especially right across Scotland, we're all guilty of one thing, and that is every time something like this comes up, there's always a public consultation.
Yeah.
And very, very few people get involved in these consultations, David. You know, you get interest groups and then nobody else, and then it's because nobody else is paying attention. When the interest groups put in their ideas and the government goes forward with it, that's when everybody else starts screaming. And you go, well, hold on a minute, you were asked to give your ideas and consult on it. You just don't. So, folks, if there is an issue coming up, like laws that are going to be put in place in Scotland, you will find that there's always going to be a public consultation. Keep an eye on that in the Parliament. You can get it at gov.scot. It'll tell you what consultation papers are on the go at the moment.
I'll tell you who are guilty of not consulting, and that's the Labour Party. That's the Labour Party in Western Bartonshire. They're not cutting my grass at the front. There's a great big area between the two roads that they could have put for biodiversity, let it grow as tall as you like. But my grass is not getting cut, and that means that the seed for all the weeds is ending up in my garden and everybody else's garden.
No happy. Get bloody hoe out and get exercised, you big fat slob. They tell you there's a cost of living crisis on. The money for the cutting the grass has been diverted to feed hungry children and operate land banks, believe it or not.
I'm an old man. I can't be blooming cutting grass on a slope like that. I'd end up on my neck.
Well, you know that. I've just got to be boy in the corner 10 bob in your lawnmower. Right, enterprise boy. That's what I did.
Next.
My was like a jungle, so I get to be kid round the corner with all the equipment, 50 quid to come in and trash it for me.
Anyway, next.
Right, next up, number 4, Pete Wishart says he doesn't think Westminster will recognise the will of the Scottish people in the next election. If the Scottish people vote in a majority of SNP MPs.
I actually think that Pete Wishart doesn't have a clue. And as far as that's concerned, I'm quite glad to hear that he's not going to be seeking getting picked up again as an MP. I have had difficulties with Pete Wishart being in the SNP Commons group for a long, long time.
He's the longest serving MP. It tells you something. I don't have a problem. I like Pete. I'm not going to say otherwise, you know. But there is something in what he's saying, but the problem is, once again, he's putting too much weight on them.
Yeah.
It's like the bus driver or whatever his name is, they're believing that only they hold the key to democracy. And if they say it's no democratic, it isn't. You don't get that say. Democracy is democracy.
We expect that when the SNP return more than 30 MPs, which means they will have won the Scottish part of the general election, that what will happen is they'll go, right, that's us, we're independent now. And the Tories and Labour and whatever they're called this week will say, no, you're not. And we'll go, we are. And it's something like that. It's going to be, yes, we are. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be expecting for either Norway or Iceland, because they basically got a race set up. The
bookies are taking odds on which one of the Nordic countries will be first to recognise.
Who's going to recognise us first? And Iceland saying, it's going to be us, and Norway saying, no, it's going to be us, right? So all we are looking for is for countries to recognise us as an independent country. We cannot be independent without that recognition of the international community. Remember that, guys. That's important that you get that through your heads, is that we will not become independent without the recognition of the international community.
Very true. As I say, but I mean, for too long, we've allowed them to tell us what democracy, or they think they could tell us what democracy is. What I like about this latest group of that are coming through, the younger ones, they're not wearing it. Pete might have wore it. Nicola might have been too much a statesman to wear it. Whom says no? Whom has made it clear? This isn't even 50% plus one of the vote. That's not how a Westminster election works. It's if we return the majority of MPs, we'll have had the majority of the voting population in Scotland vote for us on that single issue. Because it's going to be made clear, a vote for the SNP this time round in the Westminster election is a vote for independence. SNP get a majority of MPs here in Scotland. Game's a bogey.
And in Humza's words on his speech, the people of Scotland will have spoken.
Anyway, afternoon, Daily Blasé. Welcome aboard. It's nice to see you here again. Look, mate. Right, number 5. Next subject on the board is Ian Blackford tells Scotland on Sunday that the Westminster politicians have learned nothing since the 2008 banking crash, and that they have been balancing the books from the pockets of the poor. Now, we know that's true. The Tory party have been basically passing legislation to allow the richest in society to keep more and more of their money. They've even done away with the cap on the bankers' bonus. They've lowered the tax on the banks, even though we still have huge shares in the banks. You know, so basically, the Tories they've pounded the poorest. Universal credit, austerity. They have pounded the poorest to pay for the mistakes that Westminster makes in economic management of the United Kingdom.
When Gordon Brown and Alistair Darling did their famous walk past the Nationwide, if you remember correctly, right, on the credit crunch, and they made the decision, right, okay, we're going to bail out the banks. That was the biggest mistake, financial mistake, that any two people on this planet have ever made, right?
It's probably the biggest mistake anybody on the planet made.
Yeah.
They should have went down with their resetting monetary policy already. You know?
Yeah, well, and what's been happening is, in the background, I'm sure you know this, guys, in the background, what's been happening is the Bank of England have been feeding money into the banks every time there's a stress test.
Yep.
And I look at it and I go, hang on a sec, I've got a bloody business going. Why is it they're getting money for free and I don't? Simple as that. The only money I get free now is my bloody pension. Simple as that.
You paid for it all your life.
Correct.
And even at that, we know now if we'd have went private with that money that the government's been taking off us, we would have an average European pension, as opposed to the crap that we're getting through Westminster. Yeah. But anyway, so Blackford tells us that they haven't learnt nothing, and there's every possibility it could happen again. But he also points out that you can't keep squeezing the bottom. You've got to try and start squeezing some more out the top. In fact, they're finished squeezing the bottom. They're on the middle now.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen.
They'll never get to the top as long as there's red and blue Tories running the show.
That's right.
Hey, let's move on.
The Labour purge to the left.
Aye, Labour's purge to the left and the internal civil war in the Labour Party. And this is why they're predicting a hung parliament, by the way. I don't know if people are picking up on this in England. The reason why they're predicting a hung parliament in England is because Starmer's war on the left is probably going to see more Labour and more left-wingers either no vote or vote for the Greens or something like that, which is a more progressive party.
My goodness me, they could actually end up voting for the Lib Dems. And the Lib Dems, it's like tossing your vote into no man's land, because the Lib Dems will assume the manifesto of whoever it is that does a deal with them, so they can get a wee tiny dripping off the roast, a wee bit of power. Yeah, seriously, see the Lib Dems. It should be illegal to have a party called the Lib Dems, simple as that, in Great Britain, because nothing works other than the duopoly.
No.
So the Lib Dem vote is just going to get picked up by either Labour or Tory to give them, the ability to form a government.
Back to the substance of this, the latest thing in the purge of the left, and this is down to Neil Lawson, who retweeted a Green party tweet about tactical voting to get rid of the Tories. That was in the council elections 2021. Now, what's interesting about that is Neil Lawson, who's the director of a think tank called Compass. It was initially a Labour think tank, and they were purged basically, and it became a cross-party think tank for progressives. So there's like Greens, SNP, there's even Tories on it. But even though he's a member of this think tank, he hasn't given up his Labour membership. In fact, he was a speechwriter for Gordon Brown. I think he was a speechwriter for Tony Blair and all this guy. Really high up the party.
Yep.
But he's a left winger, so he's got to go. You know, the purge of the left down that road is mental. And
yeah, the latest about Sue Gray, David.
Aye, apparently she broke the civil service code by speaking to Labour before she spoke to that particular office.
They've since found out that she hasn't broken anything, right? So she's going to end up being taken in as a special advisor or something like that by Starmer. You know, so bloody hell, man.
And of course, I mean, as we all know, Sunak's breaking that many pledges and promises. He's spinning like a top. He pledged to nationalise the utility companies. Gone. Pledged to feed school kids. Gone. He is spinning like a bloody top.
Boris's next blooming headline will be shock horror, punk outrage. Sunak isn't doing the job anymore. Let me back in. I'll take you all to. Well, let's. What is it? It's not get Brexit done anymore. What's his latest? Is he on about the? Oh hell, I'm forgetting.
He's out for the wee small boats onto the cost of living crisis, I think.
No, let's get Rwanda done. That's what.
Rwanda done. No, I think he's next that one now. I think it's I think he's moved on to saving the NHS or something stupid like that now. We'll get to that, right? Anyway, as you'll be aware, and I know Darren, who's watched, David watching the show, he'll be aware and all that today the debate down that road is on the illegal migration bill, which in itself, its very existence is bloody illegal. But anyway, they're going to be playing ping pong with this one, back and forth through the Lords to the Commons today, right? As the Tories.
In actual fact, if we end up as an independent country, Davy and I will both try and get our government, our Scottish government, to send a boat to pick them up. Simple as that. How's about that, Davy? Is that a good idea? Yeah? Right. There you go.
Bring them back with Rwanda.
And we'll actually process the paperwork on the boat, on the trip, right? And also teach them the new national anthem for Scotland, right? Whether it be Flower of Scotland or whatever it is, or Caledonia, and they're going to learn it before they get off the boat. How's about that? Ready-made Scotsmen. Give them a kilt before they get off the blooming boat as well. Yeah.
Aye, Mark's right. If you live in Scotland, they stop with boats. They're trying to stop its boats. They're doing that in the rest of the UK and all, but with this ID required and things like that. You know, it's mental. But anyway, the Lords and the Commons will be ping-ponging this thing back and forth today, they reckon, a few times. Now, so far, the Lords have trounced over this illegal migration bill. And the Tory Lords have bounced over it.
I don't like the Lords getting their hands on this because I disagree with the Lords having any power whatsoever. They are unelected, right?
Yes. But in this case, they're outperforming the Commons, actually. At least there's a bit of... there's a bit of understanding international laws in the upper chamber, because there doesn't seem to be any in the lower chamber trying to pass this bloody bill in the first place. This bill passes, the next thing we're going to have to do is leave the ECHR.
Yeah.
The European Convention on Human Rights, we're going to have to leave that. And that means that we, the citizens of Scotland, though the subjects in England, need human rights protections for this mob down that road after that. None. It's pretty scary. And the fact that the Lords are... this should never have made it onto the flare of the chamber. This is what happens when with that voting system down the road, the first past the post voting system. That's what happens with it. You end up with nut jobs with huge majorities And that's why we end up with this bunch of fascists down that road. And people seem to be lapping it up because the newspapers are loving it.
Well, we're going to use their own system against them. We are going to claim our independence based on the Westminster system of majorities through MPs sitting in their seats.
Yes. We played them at the game, haven't we? But so it's mental, really is. So the Lords and the Commons are battling it out the day to see whether we get to keep our human rights or no. Because if that shower down that road managed to get this illegal migration bill through with half the harmful causes that are in it or already in it, we're going to have to leave the European Convention on Human Rights.
Well, it's down to all of us, to actually talk to the people of Scotland and say, look, guys, your human rights are gone here. It's not just the people in the wee boats whose human rights have gone. Your human rights have gone as well.
Aye.
And unfortunately, the same for the people of England and Wales and Northern Ireland, to make sure they're all in the same boat, right? So we need to break up the UK. Simple as that. And Scotland needs to go its own.
There's going to be a convention on breaking up the UK later this year in Edinburgh, and there'll be progressives for England who want to break up the UK as well. Now, what's interesting about it is the reason I keep saying this. The reason why we won't release the polls that have been doing on attitudes to the union. It's nothing to do with Scotland. England is on a path of take back control. That's what Brexit is all about. And I've said this before. As things get harder, England will start to say, no subsidising Scotland. English people will start saying, no subsidising Scotland anymore, even though they don't. They'll be saying, no subsidising the people of Wales anymore, even though they don't. They'll be saying, we're not subsidising the people of Northern Ireland anymore. This is the trajectory we're on. And that's why Wegovy has defied courts and no releasing that polling.
Yeah. When did you get put in prison for contempt of court? That's what I want to know.
Anyway, we're talking about Sunak there and his a 15-year plan to get staffing in the NHS up to scratch. And he was asked about how's he going to deal with the shortages of doctors and things like that. We're going to get practitioners to do that work. He was asked specifically about dental, and he says about getting dental hygienists to do more dentistry. There are no dentists! Wow! This guy's a nut job.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, so it's like,
at the moment,
I can imagine Sunak is just trying to fill the airwaves, right? Because looking at the facts, it's well nigh possible that nobody on the Conservative side are going to end up wielding the wheels of power.
No, that's the interesting thing about it. He's trying to make it look as if, because people are starting to ask what he is and what's he for. Robot Rishi, So he's trying to make it look as if he's doing things. That's what his five pledges are all about. Looks like he's going to fail at them all, actually, but that's beside the point. I mean, the small boats want that. No. Inflation's not coming down. But I predicted this is where we'd be. It was supposed to be 5% in the middle of this year. We're in the middle of this year. And what did that one of my predictions at the beginning of the year? It would be 8.7 because food price inflation would keep it high. And I already knew that the checks in October and January were supposedly coming in. So
we now know that the checks on the Dover side are not going to be done. They're going to be flying them through, right?
That'll need to be sorted out because, as you know, they're going to end up in trouble with the World Trade Organization.
Yes.
I'm
in trouble with the EU.
That's right.
Because at the end of the day, there needs to be controls at borders. There has to be controls at borders because otherwise,
sorry, I see lawsuits lots and lots of lawsuits, is people get ill. So the people will sue the supermarket to sell them the dodgy meat.
Aye.
Then the supermarket will sue the government for not checking this stuff.
Yep.
You know, so I see lawsuits here. But what's going on is dangerous. But with the inflation thing, when I was making these predictions, I was factoring in these checks coming in.
Yeah.
So it would appear that the idiots down the road hadn't factored these in. Yeah. Otherwise, all of us who were predicting that he wasn't getting it to 5% by the middle of the year or the end of the year, why hadn't they done that sum?
Yeah. They cannot possibly sort anything without reversing Brexit. And I tell you now, England are not going to be able to reverse Brexit, because the EU are going to be looking at this and going, is it possible one of you lot could, or many of you lot, could bring back Brexit to our front door again? They won't want to go through it.
No.
You know, and that's just it's just a logical way of looking at it. If let's say that the Labour get in and they get rid of Starmer, and maybe somebody sensible comes in and replace them and says, we want back into the EU. The EU will maybe do some kind of deal with them, but they won't get back around the table of the EU.
Actually, the EU have already looked at it, and this week have already said to Starmer, we're not negotiating the TCA, thank you very much. Looking at the madness in your island, do you think we want it over here?
Yeah, exactly.
This weird in case it's infectious, and as you know, or I'm presuming, I know that you will know this, but right now, Orban of Hungary is going to war on the EU, who are EU budgeting. You know, the EU want to send more money to Ukraine. Orban's going, what? And he's also asking what's happened to the money that's been put into the 7-year programme at the beginning of this 7-year run for EU budgeting. Apparently that money's run out already. But all this crap about the EU is going to go bankrupt. It's not going to go bankrupt.
You look at let's look at the monetary policy of the EU, right? I was in Greece last week. I was in Crete, right? Every taxi is a Mercedes. Every bus is a Mercedes. You know, there are recent plates. You know, I mean, they're all like brand new. They're not like hulking nonsense that you get in Cuba, right? We're talking like brand new Mercedes. Reason for that? The Germans. The Germans wanted to be able to sell Mercedes all around the EU, all around Europe, right? And the simple way was, let's bring in a central currency, and that means a cup of coffee in Germany costs the same as what a cup of coffee does in Greece.
Which is mad.
And also when they export their cars, the people of Greece can afford to buy them, and that's the way it worked. And it has worked. The actual plan has been put in place, and it's worked.
Right, we're on that time here, David. So I think we'll just skip by Zach Goldsmith and his slap in the puss to Rishi Sunak, because we'll just have a quick one on it. Zach says that the UK has ditched its global, is placing the global stage on climate change, and has ditched Westminster ditched any pretense of actually trying to achieve climate change. Zach in his letter tells Sunak, you've opened a deep coal mine in Cumbria, you've fired up the fossil fuels, the coal power plant, and you're licensing the North Sea at a rapid rate of knots. That's no green credentials. And of course, we know Sunak didn't attend the last climate meeting in France there, you know.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that ties in nicely with a few of the things that we've got coming up here. If you look at what he said, and you look at what's happening, right, there has to be a planned decline in licenses and extraction from the North Sea, and an uptake of renewables, right? Who do you think? Who would you trust to do that? The Tories at Westminster the Red Tories at Westminster or the Scottish Government? Simple question, guys.
Right, anyway, there's a couple of the Scottish Parliament's went into recess, so silly season started here. But down the road this week, there's quite a few important things happening in Westminster. I dare say Daily Blasé is maybe watching the committees this afternoon, but I'll talk about what the main debates will be in Westminster rather than committees. Although I have to say the committees are far better, they're far better watch than the horror show that is the chamber at Westminster. You know. Anyway, Monday is the illegal migration bill. We've just spoke about it. Yep. Tuesday, debate on energy security. That ought to be funny.
Yeah.
Wednesday, debate on energy infrastructure. That ought to be funny, you know. That'd be important to the people of Scotland because they want to build huge interconnectors to take the renewables south. Thursday, SNP.
Providing we become an independent country, that's fine. We'll just fit a meter. Something like that. And charge them accordingly. Something like that. There was a lady on the other day there. What I'm really worried about, she said, was them setting up pipework and taking all Scotland's water away from us, right? And I said, don't worry about that. We get independence, we'll fit a water meter. Yeah, something like that.
Anyway, Thursday, SNP MP Tommy Shepherd leads debate on the presence of the Lord Bishops in the House of Lords.
Yeah.
As it's supposed to be secular, should they actually be there?
They shouldn't be there.
If there's going to be one religion represented, surely they should all be represented in the Lord.
Yeah, I've said that all the way through. Your Lord Bishops should not be there. They should not have any part of that whatsoever.
Aye.
And it's like, as far as I'm concerned, it's like, well, there shouldn't be a House of Lords. What am I saying? But definitely the Church of England, the High Church, as they call it, where your Lord Bishops are, get them out.
Anyway, apparently in the chamber on Friday, there's nothing going on in the Commons. They all travel by their constituencies. But the House of Lords got a debate on the 75th anniversary of Windrush. That should be interesting, considering the way.
It's also the 75th anniversary of the NHS.
Yes, it is. Right.
You know,
it certainly is.
You put one against the other, right? Is it possible Windrush helped to feed the NHS with people?
Oh, of course it did.
Yeah.
Now, we've only got a couple of minutes left, but apparently the Orkney Islands want to leave Scotland, the UK, and they're looking at becoming a self-governing protectorate of Norway. Now we know the link between Scotland and the Orkneys and Norway. As we know, Orkney was ceded to Scotland as part of a marriage dowry that wasn't met. So there's a legal contract that makes the Orkney Islands part of Scotland. And it had to do with a royal marriage a long time ago.
Yeah, and also just taking a parallel of another country, we had Catalonia. Catalonia does not have the same past as Scotland does. Catalonia was given as a marriage gift to the King of Spain.
I believe it's a similar story for Wales, but I'm not 100% sure.
No, I wouldn't argue with that one, but definitely with Orkney. Orkney was a marriage gift to Scotland.
Part of what they called an unpaid dowry. So part of the dowry wasn't paid up, so the Orkney Islands were transferred to Scotland. No, but you and I, David, as we know, if they want to leave the UK, so because what they're saying is they're just not going to fair deal for Westminster or Holyrood, they want to look at potential for the future. Right?
We cannot argue against if the people of Orkney truly want to go their own way. You're right, because we want our self-determination. They're entitled to their self-determination.
Of course, as we know that on the census, was it 62.4% of the people in Orkney identify as Scottish only?
But the problem is with the census, it was the questions that were asked in that census That could be a load of nonsense. If it had said, "Do you identify as being Norwegian?" you might have had a load more that put their name up as that.
Right.
So got to be careful on
You and
that.
I know how the census works, so we better tell other people. It asks you if you identify as Scottish only. It asks you if you identify as Scottish British. It asks you if you identify as well, I can't remember what the third one was. British only. British only.
Yeah.
You identify as British only, and the fourth one is other.
Yeah.
So if you tick the other box, it doesn't give you a specification.
That's right.
You know, but what we do know is that 62.4% of them tick the Scottish only box.
Yeah.
That's
So, right,
information in the census.
just to tramp this on a bit, right? Okay. Let's say there are a lot of people in Orkney that go, "No, we want to be Norway, or we want to be annexed by Westminster, right, by England." What they have to understand is that the energy production, there are 11 rigs, if I understand, on the inshore waters.
No, inshore water, just round about.
Yeah,
and
just round
no all of them are in the 12-mile
right.
they would be given round the island as the continent.
But let's imagine that there's maybe 3 or 4 decent-sized rigs, decent-sized fields round about Orkney and the inshore waters, right? Fine. At some point, guys, people have got to start realising that we're going to have to run down the fossil fuel extraction. If we don't, we're not going to have a bloody planet.
But here's the thing, David. Right? We know Norway's a vastly wealthier land than Scotland because it's got £1 trillion sovereign wealth fund. And I was looking at the UK debt clock earlier on. We've hit the 2.85 trillion plus, and it goes up by £5,421 per second.
I know.
You know.
Ouch.
The question you've got to say is, Orkney says it's not getting a fair deal for either Holyrood or Westminster, which I'm assuming it means financial support.
Yeah.
Does Norway want to take that on?
Don't know.
Has anybody asked Norway? Has anybody in the Orkney Islands asked Norway if Norway would like to take back ownership?
I think Orkney would like for Scotland to become part of EFTA, and that includes Shetland and Orkney.
Aye.
That's maybe the point of it. You know what I mean?
As I say,
so Norway want us as a partner, not as a thing that they can buy. Yeah.
Aye. Anyway, that brings us to the end. I thought we'd bring it up. We know it's probably crap for unions to a councillor up there, but if the people of Orkney really want to consider their future, and if they want to leave Scotland, and they want to have a vote to leave Scotland, and Norway or somewhere else is willing to take them, or they want to be autonomous and survive on their own, because let's face it, they could do it. I mean, we see successful small populations like Iceland.
But what about Malta? Look at the size of Malta. And
No,
they're doing great for their people, right? At the end of the day, it's now getting a wee bit boring because we heard it on the run up to 2014 IndyRef, right? And we heard it all the way through. Oh, it was ridiculous, right?
But hey, it's a handy one to drag out there, and it's an easy one to set somebody up to do, isn't it? See, but that's up to them. Hey, because we're Democrats, David. We're Democrats to propose.
That's right.
Right, we better round this one up.
Okay. Basically, if you haven't subscribed to us yet and you like what we do, please subscribe, just so that it comes up on your feed that we're actually going to go live. All right. If you do like us, then please hit the like button, and also if you're on Facebook and you're going to share from Facebook, please leave it for about 5-10 minutes before doing so, because what happens is Facebook bugger it about with David's feed, and it means he has to constantly set it to public before you do that. Otherwise, you'll be sharing something that says there's nothing here, right? So that leaves me just to say bye-bye, Davey.
Aye. Hey, folks. I know that when I'm doing the Indies Truck Davy stuff, I don't promote myself and I don't share it. But this is the Two Davies. This is different. If you like what we do, please share it across your social media platforms, okay? And thanks very much, and I hope you enjoyed our lively chat today, David.
Yeah, sorry about the fuck up at the start, that I was not in control. Just was not in control.
Big man.
Yes. Do you know something? I think what happened was there was all these security things coming into my computer, and they sent them through Dover, and I went on holiday for 2 weeks, and nobody was there to collect them. They all came up the road at the same time.
Right. That just leaves one thing left today. As I say, if you like the day, share across your social media platforms. Bye for now, David.
All right. Bye, Davey.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, folks.